DeWanna Bonner in the hot seat after saying what she stated last night in her press conference, man. I can't lie, it does look like some hypocrisy going on.
DeWanna Bonner continues to take shots at the Indiana Fever and the Fever fans. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
The audacity is unbelievable, but Dana Bonner just redefined delusion in her latest ESPN interview. With a straight face, she said, "I wouldn't change a thing." This, after taking home nearly $200,000 from the Indiana Fever before ghosting the team for 5 games under the guise of personal reasons, only to quietly engineer her exit. Bonner signed the deal, took the money, vanished when things got hard, and now she's in Phoenix playing the victim like she's the one who was wronged. For Fever fans who watched it all unfold, her revisionist history isn't just insulting, it's infuriating.
I wouldn't do anything differently. I think my journey is my journey and I'm going to accept that. It carried me to where I am in Phoenix and it happened that way for a reason. I mean, really, that is a wild statement.
You stole that money from Indiana. You signed up for that bread and didn't deliver. You didn't show up for work. You made up bullcrap excuses to not be.
That level of arrogance is staggering, especially considering how Fever fans embraced her from day one, treating her like a franchise cornerstone. All the while, she was quietly maneuvering her exit behind the scenes.
She came over here, she signed a max contract, she knew Phoenix didn't have the bread, she got 80 here and went and got the rest over there. I think it's trash.
I wouldn't do anything differently. You took 80 grand from the Indiana Fever. You could have just signed. Like, that's one of the things, like, I don't understand why you take these interviews. I don't understand why someone would take an interview and say that, when the reality is that all you did was took a whole bunch of money from a team to not show up.
She refused to show up when it mattered most, a blatant insult to every fan who invested their time, money, and loyalty into supporting her. Watching her sit on national television and act like she did nothing wrong after cashing checks and walking away from her responsibilities says everything you need to know about her character. Or
you refuse to show up to work while receiving money, while taking payment. You refuse to show up and do the job. And let's be clear, you wasn't even good while you was here. You was shooting threes hitting the side of the backboard.
But this is definitely going to be a part of her history, man. Because the new wave is taking over. These new fans are watching. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be a part of her history, unfortunately, man.
At this point, it goes beyond basketball. It's about professionalism and basic respect. Fans invest in tickets, jerseys, and the team because they trust players to show up and put in the work. Bonner's stint in Indy wasn't some personal journey of growth. It was a calculated move that ended with a fan base and franchise feeling used and betrayed by someone they once believed in.
This is DeWanna Bonner. I wouldn't do anything differently. I think my journey is my journey. I'm going to accept that. It carried me to where I am now in Phoenix, and it happened that way for a reason. It didn't happen that way for a reason. You forced yourself out of Indiana, DeWanna.
But here's where it gets even more frustrating. Once you dig into how it all unfolded, a bigger problem comes into focus. One that speaks to how professional contracts are being handled today and how some athletes are far too comfortable avoiding real accountability. Start with the most glaring red flag: the massive disconnect between what Bonner promised and what she actually delivered after signing that high-dollar deal. We're talking about a veteran who averaged a forgettable 7.1 points per game while throwing up bricks and coasting through games with zero urgency. This wasn't a case of someone working through a slump. It was a player clearly disengaged, counting down the days until her exit. She played in just 9 games and made an impact in hardly any of them. That says everything about her level of investment. The numbers back it up. Just 3.8 rebounds and 1.6 assists per game. Those are bench-level stats, not the output of a seasoned free agent brought in to steady a young, rising team. Instead of offering leadership and consistency, she gave them apathy and silence. She didn't just underdeliver, she disappeared. And yet, despite her underwhelming performance, Fever fans stayed patient. They held out hope she'd find her form, giving her every chance to turn things around. But instead of rising to the occasion, Bonner checked out. Rather than repay that support with effort, she walked away when things got tough. The Fever front office built their roster and cap space expecting Bonner to be a key piece, and she responded by disappearing the moment adversity hit. That's not just unprofessional, it's calculated. Worse yet, the minute she suited up for Phoenix, she suddenly looked like the player Indiana thought they signed. In just her second game, she drops 22 points and 11 rebounds like she hadn't spent the last stretch coasting. That's what truly stings for Fever fans, watching someone switch it on only when it suited them.
You came here, you stunk it up, and then you got benched. Just because you was okay with coming off the bench in another situation don't mean you was okay with coming off the bench in this situation. So I want to know what's the real? What's the real? Because you can't say, while you was here, you said, oh, I've never played in front of this many fans. You were embraced by the fans. You spoke highly of the fans while you were here. You were a starter, but you wasn't playing well. And that was nobody else's fault that you was shooting threes hitting the side of the backboard and you was smoking layups. And then your starting spot got took, and then all of a sudden you refused to show up to work.
This isn't about adjusting to a new system or needing time to find her rhythm. DeWanna Bonner's sudden resurgence is all the proof you need. She was sandbagging in Indiana. That fire, that energy, that impact, it was always there. She simply chose not to show it until she landed where she wanted, next to her fiancée Alyssa Thomas in Phoenix. The jump in production wasn't subtle, it was a loud, unmistakable tell. Even the most casual fans could connect the dots. Her breakout game in a Mercury jersey didn't just raise eyebrows, it read like a confession. Bonner could have made a difference for the Fever. She just chose not to.
And if we gonna keep it real, Chloe Bibby, the new 7-day signee, has fit in and played better than DeWanna Bonner did anyway. Let's be clear here. Chloe Bibby came in first game, knocked down 2 threes. DeWanna Bonner first game versus the gum on the bottom of the shoe, Chicago Sky. We had to jump through hoops of fire and do all types of abracadabra magic tricks to get her to finally score the break.
When you line up DeWanna Bonner's numbers from Indiana next to her sudden breakout in Phoenix, it's like watching 2 completely different players. And that's what happens when someone finally decides to put in the effort after months of coasting. It wasn't a slump, it was manipulation. The kind of entitled move that exploits a professional platform while leaving loyal fans footing the emotional and financial bill. What's worse, Bonner now has the audacity to act like she gave Indiana her best. She's rewriting history while Phoenix fans cheer her on, ignoring the fact that her success came at the expense of a franchise she ghosted. This isn't just about one hot streak, it's about the message it sends, that you can fake it, bail, and still walk away celebrated. And the biggest gut punch? She came into Indy all smiles, promising commitment, talking about building something real. No warning signs. Just a perfectly played act until the exit door swung open.
Here's a quote from DeWanna Bonner. I have no problem coming off the bench. I have never been that player. I don't feel like I have that reputation. Now, fair enough. You have won 6th Woman of the Year, respectfully. But that don't mean that's what you thought you were walking into. I believe you thought you was coming here to be a veteran leader, an OG, and a starter. She came here as a starter, was stinking it up, got injured, and Lexi Hall stepped in, and Lexi Hall should have been the starter from day one. DeWanna Bonner should have never been a starter in an Indiana Fever uniform. That's a fact.
At one point, DeWanna Bonner couldn't stop praising Indiana fans, calling the support unmatched, marveling at the electric atmosphere, and speaking passionately about how much it meant to play in front of Fever Nation. She talked about chasing a championship, mentoring young stars like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, and becoming a leader on a rising team. These weren't scripted sound bites. They were full-on declarations that made fans believe she was all in. And that's exactly why this betrayal cuts so deep. People bought her jersey, hyped her story, and defended her when her performance didn't add up. They said she needed time, believed she'd find her rhythm, and kept rooting for her. But now, looking back, it feels like the loyalty was one-sided. While Indiana fans were investing their hope in her, she may have been eyeing the exit the whole time. What they thought was a slow start turned out to be something far worse, an emotional bait and switch.